Hey, this is a quick video to explain my add-on called the Obsidian Burden. It is a text-based, turn-based RPG. This is the window that you're going to see as soon as you install it. By default, it will show the window when you log in. If you want to turn that off, there's a mini-map button. You can right-click, and you can disable Show Window at Login. You can also disable Show Welcome Message, which will print some stuff in the chat window when you start the game. That welcome message basically just says go to the options to turn it off and see other options. So I'll show you the other options real quick. Enable sound, enable screen flash. So within the game, there's some sounds that'll happen. You can disable those. There's some screen flash that'll happen. You can disable those if you don't want to see that. All right, so get into the game itself. This is the first screen. First thing you're going to do is create a new character. Click on Create Character, then type in Alright, as soon as you type in the Create Character, it'll take you to the first zone, which is the cave. It'll give you some intro text explaining the cave. The upper left is the character info. Has your name, your level, your HP, your XP, your attack skill, your defense skill, and what zone you're currently in. Just below that is the inventory section. It's kind of organized by inventory type. So we have basic items, we have XP items, we have healing items. There are several other item types you will come across as you play the game, but that's what you're going to start with. These are basically just to kind of explain and help people understand how the inventory items work. If you mouse over, you can see the food crumb will give you +1 HP. The count is 2, which means I have 2 in the stack, and the cooldown is 3 turns. You can right click to use, or you can left click. It'll open up a little window that will tell you do you want to use it, cancel, or delete the item. So if there's any item you want to delete, you can do that like that, or you can use the item. It'll also give you a little bit of kind of flavor text. The basic items, these are gray, so it says here in the hastily written note that gray items are safe to delete. Also at the bottom of the tooltip, you can right click to delete these, or you can click on it to see the whole message. It's also in the mouse over, but you can delete that way. The XP items, if you mouse over, it says +1 XP. If you click on it again, you can see the information here. So right click to use. I've granted 1 XP. So basically the idea here is you read the text, it explains the zone you're in, sort of the flavor, and then you can either venture forth or you can return to the sanctuary. Every zone has a sanctuary, which is like a safe zone that will allow you to recover your health at the cost of a short-term defensive debuff. The icons in the lower left, I'll explain those. So the far left is the change character. So if you click that, it'll take you back to the sort of main screen where you can select a character. I'm going to go to Hello World, which is the character I've been running with lately. So I'll select it and hit load. You can see this one is in another zone called Hills, and my basic inventory is full of gray items. I'm going to show you too much, but you can see I've got a defense bonus here. And across the top, this is where your buffs and debuffs are going to show up. So there's a buff icon. That's where my defense is coming from. That defense, and the debuffs are going to be on the right side. Okay. I'm going to go back to the other character. Okay, this is the first zone. It's the cave. The other buttons down here I'll show you in a sec. We have the knowledge ledger. We have the portal stones, rare enemies, and special encounters. The knowledge ledger, this is each of the zones and how much knowledge you've gained for each zone. When you get 10 knowledge, you can try to escape the darkness, basically challenge the zone boss. So you come here and you click on that, and it'll take you to the boss fight for the zone. If you're able to defeat the boss for that zone, you'll go to the next zone. At which point you'll start collecting knowledge. When you have 10 knowledge for the next zone, you can try to escape that zone, and all the way down to zone 10. Alright, so there's 10 zones. This is the Portal Stones tab. Whenever you beat the boss and you get to the next zone, you'll immediately be granted a portal stone for the zone that you just entered. So we start the game in the cave, so we have a teleport to the cave already. You can come here and you can teleport to any of the zones that you've unlocked. So let's say, for example, you're here in one of the later zones, and for whatever reason you want to go back to an earlier zone. This is how you would do it. Okay, the next one is rare enemies. Okay, this again, there's one rare enemy for every zone. So we've unlocked the cave, so you can come here and you can see what the rare enemy is. There's some flavor text here, and then there's some loot that will tell you what loot this rare enemy drops. In the case of the cave, we have the crystal-eyed lurker, and they drop a rare drop that will reduce all incoming damage by 50% for 2 turns. And as you work through the game, you'll unlock the other zones, and you'll be able to search for the rare enemies. Okay, and then the last one is special encounters. Special encounters are sort of rare encounters that you will come across. It's some lore, it's some story, and it can give you some useful items as well. The intro preview, this will give you just a little idea about what the special encounter is all about. And they each have a name. So again, as you work through the zones, you'll be able to unlock all those special encounters. Since we're in the cave, we have the ability to find those 2 special encounters. Alright, that's what all the buttons do at the bottom. And then, so how do you get through here? You just click Venture Forth. Alright, so immediately we found an enemy. Chittering shade blocks your path. And so now we've got an enemy info frame here that has their name with some flavor text. It has their HP, their attack, and their defense. Again, across the top, we'll show the buffs and debuffs that the enemy has. So we have 2 options. We can attack, or we can attempt to retreat. So if you attempt to retreat, it says, if successful, retreating will restore your health, but apply a temporary debuff to your defense for 4 turns. Do you want to attempt? Okay, retreat successful, but fear lingers. Okay, so now you have a 4-turn defense debuff. In the case of the first zone, the cave, you don't have any defense to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. It's just to teach you the mechanic. Alright, so we'll click Venture Forth. Again, we find another enemy. This is Cave Stalker. Alright, so each zone has 3 sort of regular enemies. There's 10 zones, so that's 30 regular enemies. Each zone has a rare enemy, and each zone has a boss. So there's 50 total enemies in the game across 10 zones. 30 regular, 10 rare, and 10 bosses. So if we choose to attack, it's going to use our attack stat, which is 1, and it's going to measure that against the enemy's defense. So defense is 0, so we should be able to attack 1 HP. So at the end of this, they should have 2 out of 3 here. So as soon as you attack, it will prompt the enemy to have their turn. In which case, the Cave Stalker hit me for 1 damage, and I have 9 HP left. So I'll just work through this right quick. Okay, there's a chance to miss. The player and the enemy has a small chance to miss. In this case, the Cave Stalker missed, So we still have 9, and they're down to 1. So one more attack and they should be dead. Alright, you've defeated the Cave Stalker and gained 3 XP. You found some cave knowledge, and you found an item, Digested Acorn, which showed up here in the basic list. It's just a flavor item. If you click on these item headers, like basic for example, you can collapse the list. Alright, so looking at the knowledge we just found, mouse over cave knowledge, scrap of insight about the cave, used to add to your knowledge ledger. +1 knowledge to cave, you can right click to use. So you right click, cave knowledge added to the knowledge ledger, 1 out of 10. So you come down here and click on the ledger again. You can now see that it's 1 out of 10. As soon as we get 10, we can come in here and just try attempt to challenge the boss. So that's the basic of the game. You either go forward or you attempt to retreat, you venture forth, or you return to the sanctuary. Returning to sanctuary does have a chance to fail, in which case you will find an enemy. So at this point, I may still do some tuning as far as how powerful the enemies are, how much health they have, things of that nature. But I don't necessarily plan on adding any additional content at the moment as far as more zones or more enemies. It's basically just some tuning that I may update. Other than that, the game is pretty much ready to go. I've made this on my own. I am a beginner coder, so it may not be perfect, but I've done a lot of testing and I feel like it's ready to be released. So you should see it in CurseForge. Please go to CurseForge and give me some feedback, bug reports, and or feature requests. Thanks.